Hey, what's up, fam? I'm Chappell, and I am bringing you a special interview from reality TV legends. That's right, from the Fit for TV, the reality of the Biggest Loser documentary. I have with me two of the standouts from that documentary. I have the winner of season 8, Danny Cahil and Tracey Yukich. How are y'all today?
We're good. Thank you for having
Pretty
us.
good.
It's good to have you. First and foremost, let me just say, I thoroughly enjoyed you both on the documentary. We've been getting a lot of positive feedback. People were so happy to hear from y'all. So I'm very honored to be able to talk to y'all, especially because here on WeKnowRealityTV.com, we do consider you all legends. And so I'll start with you first, Danny. What was it like talking about your situation, going through the process of the documentary? Not so much The Biggest Loser, but actually going back and kind of reliving some of the moments that made you a reality TV superstar and led you to today.
Well, it brought back a lot of good memories and a lot of crazy memories because we didn't, you never knew where you were going to be the next day, and I remember flying out to do the show, and getting out there, meeting everybody, going through all the medical testing we did. It just brought back a flood of feelings, and actually, it kind of fired me up. I've been kind of down and out for a while and hiding from the world because I put weight back on, and it's kind of got me fired up. So now I remember how the seasons before me really inspired me.
It was fun watching you recount those moments because I can tell that you were, you had some trepidation about opening yourself back up to scrutiny and being back on camera. But there's a reason why you were a standout in your season as well. You're really good at this. And so I was happy to see you back, but also very happy to see Tracey. Tracey, I don't want to bombard you with compliments here, but I'm telling you, this network is full of your people. We are gamers here. And we did not watch Tracey in season 8 and think, oh yeah, we should be sending hate mail and death threats and stuff like that. We were like, this lady's taking control of the game. She's breaking the challenges. Tracey, it's so good to see you back and seemingly in a very happy place in comparison to when you were on the show.
Yes, I am in a much happier place than I was on the show. I feel like clarity is so much better now. I didn't realize the chaos that I was living in for so long and how it just kind of like takes over your brain because you really don't have control over your life at all. And when I was on the show, I really was trying to take control of myself, not everybody else, even though that's what that's what happened. That's why everyone was so mad at me because I was trying to completely take control of that game so that I could stay.
Mhm.
And it was hard. It's really hard to go back and even watch it now. And I remember being in that space. And I remember one thing that Allison Sweeney said to me, and I didn't even share this on the documentary, but she said, Tracey, this is your game too.
Mhm.
And I never forgot that when she said that to me. And in that moment, I thought, this is my game. And I have to play this for myself right now. And I did. It was hard. It was hard to be in that space because everyone was really angry, very angry.
Yeah, I think from a viewership standpoint, we were watching two different shows. We're watching a weight loss show, but we're also watching a competition game show. And I think that when you start taking control of a lot of those challenges, that's the game show part. That's the game. That's, trying to better your chances of winning. But then the people who are watching this as a weight loss show are wagging their finger like Danny is, like, why are you taking these temptations? Why are you taking these extra pounds? Like, why are you doing this? When you should be trying to do, more like in the spirit of the show, which is, losing the weight the conventional ways. So it was very fun to see y'all talking about that from each perspective. Because Tracey, while you were doing this, Danny, you were a standby. You were on a different team watching this happen. What was your point of view of Tracey kind of being in control in all of these temptation challenges?
Oh, for first of all, every time it happened, like when we were standing in the very first one where you had to step over this line, you got a 2 pound advantage, or it was going to go up. If nobody stepped forward, they were going to say 3 pounds, 4 pounds. And when Tracy stepped over, I said, "Did she step over for 2 pounds?" I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was going to wait till it was like 4, and then I was going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to play a little bit too, and I did. But there were times when she split the teams up, and she had a reason for. And you know what? She didn't do it to split the teams up. She told me the reason she did it, which made a lot of logical sense. But to me and to America, it looked like she just split people up to make everybody mad. boy, did it make me mad. And I remember in an interview going, I'm looking for the knife in my back here, because I've been, and I remember walking up to the gym, and Tracey was walking down from an interview, and the cameras were there, and I said, Tracey, I love you, but right now I'm really mad at you, so I can't talk to you.
You did.
I'm telling you, y'all were playing two different games. Yeah, she had to split you and Liz up. It was worth it. Now, look, Danny, tell me about the beginning. What made you sit at home, see these people? You said you thought they were making fun of fat people, but you said, I need to go do this. And you tried out for 3 seasons? Take me through that process. What made you finally fill out an application, but then also continue down this road until you ultimately win season 8?
Well, the first thing was I had been struggling with my weight for a very long time, and I had reached the super obese category to where I was like, this is not safe. I mean, my legs were swelling up, things were going wrong in my body. And I had tried to diet over the 10 years leading up to that point, probably 24 times, and I would lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds. But when you're 400 pounds, 20 pounds is 380, and you still got a long way to go. So things would happen, and I'd get busy and I'd quit, or I'd get hurt and I'd stop, or I'd give up because of the temptations we have in our life. And when I saw the show for the second or third time I saw it, I said, this is like the Army. I mean, if I join the Army, you can't go AWOL. They'll put you in jail. And I said, if I get in front of a camera and tell millions of people I'm going to be the biggest loser ever, and then I got to do it. And I needed that accountability. And it was really my ticket of accountability. And when I got it, I said, here we go. I've got the accountability I want. Am I ready for it?
Yeah. And Tracey, did you have a similar experience before you applied for the show? Was it something about watching the vigor, or was it more like you were saying in the documentary, that you really were trying to get out of your life situation at that time?
So, yeah, I mean, at the time, I actually tried out 2 seasons before I actually got accepted to season 8. And Danny and I were just talking about this even yesterday, and I didn't even realize the similar. I knew that you tried out so many times, but I didn't realize it's the same thing. We would have been on the same season no matter what, Danny. We were
regardless. You were stuck with her.
Together. Yeah. We were gonna have it. Last night when I got off the phone with you last night, I'm like, we were supposed to be together no matter what. But I was that person watching the show and eating ice cream, and I used to DVR it, and I used to watch it late at night while my kids were asleep. And I used to remember just like watching and like seeing everyone exercise and thinking, could I really actually do that? And I was that person. I was eating in secret and by myself. So I went on the show because obviously I wanted to lose weight. And I did really feel like that me losing weight would actually change the trajectory of everything that was going on in my life, because my life wasn't, I mean, yes, I was a mom and I loved my children, but my life with my marriage and things were not great. And I thought that losing weight would fix all of that. And because I really did, I felt like it was my fault. And it was because I had struggled with my weight for so long. So that was my reason. But then after I had an accident on the show, still was my reasoning of wanting to lose weight. But then I just wanted to be alive, and I wanted to really make some changes. I meant what I said when I was on the show. I knew that when I got home that I had to make some serious changes, and I had to do them quickly.
Yeah. And your accident is really one of the focal points of this series, this documentary, where we talk about you running this mile on the beach and almost not making it, and then choosing to remain in the game. I think that was the most shocking thing about this to me, was that I think anybody else goes home, we don't see them again, but you stuck it out. Tell us about that decision, and then also your relationship that you started to develop with Dr. Huizenga, because I think he's a person who really advocated for you, especially in the documentary.
He really did. Dr. Huizenga and I are great friends, and I'm super thankful for my relationship with him. But it really did start in the hospital. We all weighed in together before we came on the show, but I really didn't know him. But when I sat in a hospital bed, really fighting for my life, and the show never showed you how long I was in the hospital and how long I was gone, and the extent of time that I was there. And, the accident was just one of those pieces of the puzzle that really made me open my eyes. And it was true. They were trying to send me home. I mean, the show was, even Dr. Huizenga, They were like, you need to go to a rehab facility. There's no way you're going to be able to sustain what we're doing on The Biggest Loser. You can't do this. And I was very angry and I was very adamant. And I called them the suits coming in my room to ask me all these questions as to whether or not I could actually go on the show. And it came to a point where I'm like, I'm not meeting with anybody else. Unless it's my doctor, because I need the healthcare right now, and Dr. Huizinga, I'm cutting everybody off. And I did. And unless you're going to talk to me about how I'm going to go on the show and actually do something for myself, then you don't even need to come in my room. Like, send me home if that's what you're going to do. But don't come and ask me questions, because this is what I'm going to do. And I was very adamant, and I was just very, and there's my dog. I'm sorry.
That's all good.
The UPS driver is here delivering another package, I'm sure. But I'm sorry, guys.
Here, I'll say
what
something
was your
about it
perspective?
too, if you want to mute for a second.
Come here.
I'll tell you what, we were as surprised as America was that Tracey stayed on. We thought she's surely going to go home. There's no way, because the longer the time got, the more serious it was. And when she came through the door, we were all shocked. And oh my gosh, she's back. We were happy that she was healthy and safe and everything. But it shocked us too. So America weren't the only people that got shocked.
Yeah, Danny, you watched it firsthand, her whole situation on the beach. Tell me about that from your perspective as someone who, I mean, you had to complete the same mile, but it obviously had very different results for you.
Well, you know what? The first thing I'll tell you is it shows how tough Tracey is.
Absolutely.
Because I was on my church board and everything, so I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to catch me cussing on there and beat me out, and everybody at church is going to know. And so we lined up for that first race, and it was immunity on the line, and I was like, I'm winning this thing. I'm winning it. So I start taking off running in sand. That, you know how it is to run in sand, especially when you're 430. And about 200 feet down the way, I stopped and I yelled and the camera was right there, and I went, oh, I already got it. So the deal is I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
She was going through that same pain I was going through, but she wasn't stopping. And that's when I said, man, this girl has got determination. I thought I did, but she's got it. The other thing that it really showed me was just how sick we really were to be that overweight, and really where we can't jog a mile. All of us were in pain and hurting, except for maybe Daniel, because he had been exercising for 8 or 9 months before we got there. But it really was kind of an eye-opening situation for all of us.
Mm-hmm. And Tracey, your decision to maintain your position in the show, what did your family and friends, anybody close to you, what did they think about that? Were they involved in that at all, or was this just like a solely Tracey decision? You were going to see it through, and you weren't going to let anybody stop you?
You mean previous to actually making it to the show while I was in the hospital?
Yeah, the hospital. Yeah. Yes.
So I was able to have contact with my family while I was in the hospital, and something happened while I was in the hospital, and one of those phone calls, and it really just cleared my decision as far as what I was going to do. And that's when I took the phone out of my room. Actually, Dr. Huizinga was the one. He goes, I'm going to pull the phone from your room. He goes, you need to just escape everything you have going on at home and everyone wanting you to come home, because that's clearly not your decision. And he supported me. So he did. He called the nurses in. They took the phone out of my room. And that's when he sat on the edge of my bed and he's like, all right, kiddo, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going on the show. I was like, you better make this happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but let's figure it out. And I also, to Dr. Huizinga, he knew that keeping me close to that area where he had some control over my healthcare was exactly where I needed to be as well. Because once I would go somewhere else, you lose out on that. And I trusted him. And I trusted him in a very short amount of time, because honestly, I didn't trust anybody else. I mean, I had an accident on the show, and I trusted Sandy Crum because he saved my life that day. The athletic trainer from the show, because when you look at medical staff, who was there that day? Sandy Crum was it. And he was the only one. After we had 16 really obese people running a mile, Dr. Huizinga was not there. They didn't have, medical staff there. Sandy Crum was the athletic trainer, certified athletic trainer. And he saved my life that day. If he didn't call the helicopter and you rip my shirt open and write all of my, vitals on my shirt so that the next person that would see me. I mean, I woke up with like Sharpie marker all over my body because they were just constantly writing my vitals down on my skin. If it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't be alive today.
Yeah, it's really nice to hear that you did have some support in these moments, because I know you talked about in the documentary how even when the attorneys they're handing you the contract and you're like, I don't even have an attorney present to look over this contract, I'm signing my life away. What was that experience like? Because it sounds like it moves very quickly and they don't really give you a chance to make any really well-educated decisions if you are not well-versed in like contract law and things of that nature.
It is scary. And I remember getting that. It's not little either. It's like it's like a book, and you're looking at it and it's like, I am not qualified to read this. And it does move very quickly because you do know that you're there, but they just sent a bus home with 25 other people that were wanting the same spot that you're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew that. And when they tell you that, it resonates in your brain and you're like, I can do this. All right. I can do this. All right. You forget about anything else because there is that part of you that says, I really want to make a change in my life. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to go for it. And it's taking a leap of faith.
Yeah. Danny, what about you? When you were faced with these, these contracts, and I'm sure they were doing physicals and they're moving very quickly and asking you a bunch of questions, did you ever have second thoughts about potentially going on the show?
I was reading the contract. I had the same feelings that Tracey did. Like, this is a lot of crazy stuff I don't understand, but there's a lot of things I do understand. Like, you could die. And several things that made me go, oh my goodness. Then the second thing that came to mind was, well, there's been 7 seasons and no one died yet. So, and then the third thing was, I'm going to die if I'm not here. So I'm signing the thing. I didn't even ask for an attorney. I know other people that did, and they said the same thing they said to Tracey. They said, there's people down the hall that want your spot. So, if they sign up before you do, I guess you won't make it, And
I think
it was what it was, but I was desperate to be there.
I think I think that's reality TV though, that contract is thrown at you and you make a split decision. And, we applied for the show. We went. We applied because we wanted to be there. And it is a TV show and it's a reality TV show because it's happening in real time. But at the end of the day, it just happened to be about weight loss. And that's why we were there. We wanted to lose weight. We wanted that change so internally that we hurt in our personal life because of the way we were living.
Yeah, they even say, I can't remember which producer says it in the documentary, but they basically say that we're not looking for people who want to lose weight. We're looking for people who are unhappy and want to lose weight. And they kind of lean on that, like, this is a dire situation for you. You don't have anyone else to turn to. This is your last chance. They kind of lean on that to make you make these decisions a lot quicker, to say like, okay, well, you want to go, we're going to bring somebody else in. It's not like Survivor or Big Brother where it's like you could win life-changing money, but going on the show is probably not literally going to save your life. Danny, going on the show is what you cite to saving your life.
Yes. So, and I'll tell you, it's a little bit different when you get on The Biggest Loser. I heard Broom on the producer on the documentary say, if we did it again, what if we gave no money? And I was like, well, wait a minute, you guys made billions, or the show did. I know the producers don't make it all, but I wasn't there for the money at first until later in the season, and then when the season when we went to DC and Tracey was still there, she went 8 weeks. 8 weeks. In the situation she was, where she couldn't even go in the gym and exercise. So I knew how tough she was that first day, and then I knew how strong she was at the end, because she wouldn't go off. But we just were there to change our life and to get healthy. I wanted to save my life because I wanted to see my daughter and my son grow up.
Let's talk about that for a minute, DC. Let's just have a conversation real fast.
Yeah, let's do it.
I swam in the saltwater pool. I should have never swam in the saltwater pool at the hotel in DC, and I should have never worked out with Jillian Michaels a couple hours before weigh-in. That should have never happened because I swelled like a balloon.
Yeah, and you ate some oysters too.
Did I eat oysters? I think I did. Didn't I? I did.
Oysters are salty.
It's like, what? But I didn't know enough then, like I know now. But I remember going home and I'm thinking, I know I lost more weight than 3 pounds. I just kicked my butt for a week. And then she worked me out really hard. She was like sitting on me, doing the crab crawls. Then you never saw one workout that I ever did on the show. They never aired one workout. I worked out the entire time I was there. Just not with them.
Yeah, I have a question about that. So in the documentary, it looked like Dr. Huizenga was like, you are not allowed to work out with Jillian and Bob.
I didn't.
So at what point was she doing all of this? Like because you're working out before the weigh-in with her and jumping at salt water and eating oysters. Like that's a lot going on for someone who shouldn't even really be interacting with Bob.
Okay, so go back now. I was working out when I was on the ranch. I swam in the pool like Nemo and Dory, like chasing each other. Sandy Crumb threw me a medicine ball. I held it. He's like, listen, kid, don't drop the ball. And I swam for hours in that pool, but it's hard to film in the pool and you got splashing water and everything. You don't look that great in the pool. And let's be honest, I mean, it's a TV show. They're trying to get it for ratings. So I swam in the pool and then I cleaned the Biggest Loser house all the time. Like, you want to talk about dishes? I just told everyone, like, leave your dishes. I would stand at the sink while everyone was in the gym working out. I would stand at the sink and do squats, leg lifts. I'd be like doing abs and washing dishes. So I just cleaned the house because that's the only thing they would allow me to do. And I was allowed to work out in the pool. And I worked out with Sandy Crumb and Dr. Huizenga. I didn't actually have my first workout with Jillian until we went to DC. And that was the day before our weigh-in. She knew what she was doing. She worked me out.
Every week she'd say, I can't wait to get my hands on Tracey.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Because, Tracey, there is that moment. I want to say it's like a temptation challenge. And you get to choose, I think you get to choose the team and you get to choose your trainer here. And so Jillian is like foaming at the mouth to get to you. And you're like, I choose Bob. And the crowd's like, boo.
Okay, but can I tell you what I really said?
Ooh, yes,
I didn't really say. They made me choose one of them, but you know what I said? I choose neither of them. I choose the medical staff, which is Dr. Huizenga and Sandy Crumb. That's who I originally chose, and they would not let me say that on camera. That was my original. They made me go for the choices because that was the TV part of it, but that's not who I chose.
Danny, what was it like experiencing this? You're like I said, you're kind of like going on a separate journey to Tracey. Obviously, she's doing these power moves for control, but she's doing it to save her life. I know you say you look back at it and you can definitely see the motivation, but in the moment, and she's picking the medical staff and not Jillian. What are you thinking at that time?
I was thinking that she was making very, very quick, rash decisions. And I was upset with her, but the more I learned about her, because we would sit and eat dinner together and I would help her sometimes get up the stairs to go to her room when she was really bad sick, but she would tell me things. I can't go home. And so I got to know a little more about her every day. And then finally I was like, this is her game. And she gets to do this. And there were a lot of people really upset with her. And I wasn't happy with what she was doing. But I was like, she has every right to do what she's doing. And y'all got to know, y'all just need to do what you're going to do. And they tried to kick me off. The black team conspired to kick me off. And I outsmarted them just by working harder than they did. So it is a game. But I got to know Tracey pretty well before she went home. And then we saw each other afterwards. After we went home and came out to run the marathon, she ran that mile again. And I remember I have video of you, Tracey, running around the sidewalk and jogging up to us. And everybody was going. Liz was with me and Darcy was with me. They said, oh my gosh, she's skinny. Oh my God. Because we couldn't see each other. We didn't know how anybody was doing at home. And you came up and we hugged, and it was just a good feeling for all of us to be back together.
That's right, because you guys were ending the show like you were guys running. I remember now. Oh my gosh, Danny, I forgot all about that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I need to give you that video.
I say, drop the footage. Drop the footage.
I need to do that.
Drop it. Yeah. I know. I would love that. I really worked hard when I got home. We all did, and we were all gunning and fighting for something for ourselves. But being on the show and making the decisions that I was making is a really hard space to be in. It's super hard. I mean, I heard the conversations in secret. It was really hard to be in that space and choose yourself, and just be there and choose yourself. It's hard.
You know, in the Netflix documentary, we do see a lot of the negative aspects of what you went through, Tracey. But Danny, you seemingly got like a more of a positive spin from the documentary standpoint of your experience. Is there anything you felt like wasn't portrayed accurately on the documentary, or something that you would like to speak on a little bit more about your experience that people might not know?
Well, I'll tell you, I did have a very positive experience. My dorm room time. You know, when college came around, I stayed at home and went to a community college a half a mile away and helped my dad survey with his business. And then I went to my second college that was 15, 20 miles away. So I didn't get to move to a college and stay in a dorm like a lot of people do. And I know a lot of people don't, but so I'm 39 and go to this place where we're all staying in rooms, and it was a blast. It was really a blast. And the behind the scenes stuff, there were so many things they didn't show. And I mean, you know how that is. There were so many things like, surely they're going to show that, and they wouldn't show it. Why did they show that? That was awesome. But I will say, for me, probably the biggest thing that everybody didn't know about me on the show was when we split into the blue and black team. It was a lot of the younger people there on the ranch, and it was me and Dina were the two older people that were on the black team. And I walked in one day with all of the black team except me and Dina. I walked into the medical office with them on a speakerphone call with Jillian. And Jillian was asking, "How much are you holding? How much are you holding?" And I was like, "What is she talking about?" And I go, "She's talking about water." So then I knew that something, and somebody said, "Danny's in here now, Jillian, so you can tell us the plan for this week." But there was a member of the blue team in there too. And I was like, "What's she doing in here?"
It was Rebecca.
It was, and they were conspiring where they would win the first challenge. The black team would win the first challenge. The second time they would throw the weigh-in by drinking all this water, and that's where we was on the second week of the teams. And then they would kick me or Dina off, and that made me so mad. I went up to Jillian and I gave her some words, and that's when I said, "I will never fall below the yellow line again. But the only way I'm staying here this week is if I get immunity." And that was the week they sent us home. So they sent us home. I'm traveling for 2.5, for 2 full days, staying in a hotel a half day till they're ready to film at my house and stuff. I'm not being able to exercise. I'm like going, what is going on here? Man, when they let me loose, I went crazy, go back, and black team starts getting up there, 2 pounds, 1 pound, 4 pounds. Daniel gained a pound. Oh, I don't know how that happened. Yeah, you do. And then I got up there and I lost 15 pounds.
So that conversation, I can absolutely confirm that conversation because I drilled a hole through the wall in the laundry room.
What?
And I lived it in the training room. So they would all be like having meetings and stuff like that. And they would no, I took one of the camera guys. I was like, "Can I borrow your screwdriver?" And I actually sat in there like Shawshank Redemption. And I'm just like, just so I could hear, because they were all talking about me. But then
this is stuff I didn't know.
Danny, they were meeting without you, Danny. It was happening. I can confirm that.
Well, they all denied it.
Yeah,
Of course.
that's
I
crazy.
wish that had made it in the documentary, because I was just like, I'm like, I'm gonna hear everything they're saying. Like, I got this.
Yeah, Tracey, you were in gamer mode like a lot throughout the season. That's what I said. It's really funny, like looking back on it now, the way you're depicted, like in the current state as opposed to back then. It's like I don't think anybody can fault you, especially when I don't think anybody can fault you for the game you were playing, especially when obviously you're trying to win. You are at a deficit anyway due to your health issue that you had at the beginning. Like, there's so many reasons why you would just be so celebrated as a competitor, knowing that you're drilling holes in walls and spying on the other team. Meanwhile, they're conspiring against Danny. We don't see any of that. They really did a number on your edit, Tracey.
Well, they were conspiring against him because he had the most weight to lose. And Danny has like this super determined voice when he talks to you. When he says something, you believe him. He's going to do it. So I may have played the game to stay, and I had to, or I would have definitely gone home very quickly if I hadn't have played the way that I did. I didn't go on the show saying, "Oh, I'm going to play this game." Not at all. But Danny is like if he tells you he's going to do something, like you believe him because he's going to come for you. And so he had his own gameplay, but his was like losing weight and being, I mean, me too. I wanted to lose weight too. I was doing the same thing.
You know, we had the circus challenge where we had to jump through the hoops, and that was a couple of weeks after you had left, I think. And or were you there? And
no, I was there. I was there. We had to like hold our hands up and do the thing, and I couldn't jump. I remember that.
So here's the deal. Rudy, and they showed some film of Rudy and Shay going, we have a hoop agreement. We're not gonna jump through each other's hoop, you know. And so everybody starts jumping through the hoop. It gets to where it's me and Rudy, but man, we were the two big guys in the house, and we were like, I'm not jumping through his hoop, and he's not jumping through mine. We'd already made that agreement. And so he starts jumping through Shay's hoop. Oh man, she went ballistic. You're a liar. You don't honor your word. Da, 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 da. And these are the same people that were conspiring against me a few weeks ago. Yes. And none of the staff knew about this. Knew that I knew about it and all that, because I had kept it all quiet. I didn't want it to get out. Didn't want it to get on TV. And now I kind of wish I would have let it out. But when all of a sudden I just stop and go, you guys are hypocrites. You guys were cheating against me, and now you're calling Rudy a hypocrite. And I go ballistic. And I mean, I am screaming and hollering at him. And the crew and the producers are going, what is this? What does this mean? So afterwards, they asked me in an interview, what happened there? What is that? Why were you mad at them? No reason. I wouldn't tell them. I should have. It would have been better, but you know.
Yeah.
When you're playing the game, you have to be quiet though, because trust me, somebody else is also possibly playing as well. You never want to let it out. And I didn't. Yeah. I never talked.
You know, my goal, and this is what Darcy told me, my wife. She said, don't make anybody mad. And I said, I'm gonna go be Jesus to every one of these people, and so nobody votes me off, and it worked. I mean, it did work. I was nice to everybody, which I'm a nice guy, but you make me mad, and I'm not a nice guy. So
yeah,
that week I'm gonna play the game. I'm a little competitive.
Yeah, that week doesn't work out for Shay either. I believe that's when she goes home. So it's like it's a tough day for Shay. So Tracey, we don't get a lot of the positive aspects of your time on The Biggest Loser throughout the documentary. Is there anything that you wish they had shown that kind of shown like some of the highlights, maybe?
I do wish that they had shown the workouts I was doing, because America thinks that I wasn't working out at all, and they think I was just sitting in my room conspiring to play a game, and that's not the truth. I was working out. I was doing things every single day with the trainer or with Dr. Huizinga. And when I say the trainer, I'm talking about the athletic trainer, which was Sandy Crum. And then they also brought in other trainers that were not TV trainers, like Bob and Jillian, were only there to film when they were there. But, I know this show and the documentary it really was focused on a lot of the negative part. And yes, my story was featured, and I'm so happy that it was out there. But I was treated with respect when I was on the show. I'm thankful that I was on the show. It was a huge opportunity. It was like winning the lottery. When you see the amount of people that try out for the show, and then you get picked, and you didn't get picked the 2 seasons before, and then they still called you back again. I don't know why that was. I don't know why, they did pick me, but I'm super thankful that they did, because it really did change my life. So that is something that I do want people to know. I want people to know that it was life-changing, and I did choose to be there, and I did play the game to stay, and I did work out when I was there, and I ate more calories than every person on the show to date. I'm almost positive of that. And something else is, I was handled with such care medically from Dr. Huizinga and from Sandy and nutritionists. And it made such a difference in my life moving forward. Like I was able to go home and just make some serious changes with my children, how we ate at home, our family, what I did for myself, even when I got home, and the strength and the confidence to do that. So mind blowing, such a big deal.
I think your gameplay and your hard work and all that you did behind the scenes, and I think it honored the people that didn't get picked. And that's important. When you get picked for something like this, you owe those people that didn't get picked to do your very best. And if you were just to lay down and quit, then you took somebody's spot. You know, I don't want to be, well, I better not even go there. I was going to say, I don't want to be Michael Jordan playing the baseball, you know, and taking some dude's spot that could make it to the big leagues. You know, I want to be the guy that tries his hardest and does the best he can and and gives honor to the people that didn't make it.
Danny, you know what? That just really hit me so hard right now when you just said that, because I've actually received messages from people that I stood in line with in Dallas that I made it onto the show and they didn't make it on. And even when we went to the grocery store to buy our food, when we were staying in a hotel and just waiting. And I remember I met a girl who, she didn't even have the money to buy herself groceries. And I remember buying her groceries. She paid me back, of course, but just those people that I met, that I may not remember their names, but I remember their faces, and they've messaged me. So you saying that, and to honor those people, because some of those people are still fighting just like we are, because as an obese person, we fight every day to, you know, make better choices for our health, do better for ourselves and for our families. And so by you saying that, to honor those people, is like, that just like hit me in the heart, because you were so right. You are so right. Like, I get emotional thinking about it, because we were picked. And I don't want it to be a negative thing. That I'm so thankful that I was on the show. And I'm so thankful that, you know, look at Danny. I met so many wonderful people. Our season 8 castmates, we have a group chat with everybody. It's a highlight of my day when someone throws me a purple heart. I mean, I love it. You know, or we wish each other happy birthday. It's like, it's a big deal. Those relationships and things that we did together, it's a really big deal. So thank you for saying that, Danny. I love that about you. You're so like in my heart, buddy.
You're welcome.
You know, it's such a good point too, because I know that people go on the show because they need to lose weight, but everyone's doesn't have the same athleticism. You know, there are some people who working out like this is going to come naturally easier to, because they've done it before. They might have played sports or whatever. And then you have people who probably are less prone to that, but they still need to lose the same amount of weight. They still have the same goal. And so seeing somebody like you, Tracey, who comes in, you have this medical issue, and then you're taking these advantages, but you're playing the game to stay. I think that inspires people to say, okay, I might not be the person who can run a mile right now, but I know that if Tracey's out here wheeling and dealing and making, you know, taking these advantages and staying on the game, I too can get on the show, and I won't be the first one voted out because I didn't work out enough, because there are other ways that I can try to make it to the end of the show and be the biggest loser. So I definitely think that, if anything, you were probably inspiration for the people who came after you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I've received a numerous amount of messages, and it's such a different feeling now than it was in 2009 when I was on the show. There was so much controversy and so much hate, and I really got bullied a lot on social media and even behind the scenes. And that was really hard to read. And it was hard not to read, just because you were on national television. But now it's so different. The inspiring messages that I receive, and I read them like I'm that person. I'm like going through that, and I got hundreds. I even told Danny, I'm like, Danny, I don't know how many messages you've received, but Australia, Holland, Ireland, New Zealand. I mean, just the amount of people that are watching right now, and then take the time to send me a message to say, you inspired me. I'm just like, what? Yes, I'm writing you back. Thank you for this message. Yes, I played to stay. Yes, I'm going to get up tomorrow and do the same thing. The game of life is happening every single day. And if you don't play for yourself, you're missing you have to play for yourself. You got to be on your own team, and you got to bring the team with you and inspire other people along the way. And I love that Danny and I can do this together. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, the show The Biggest Loser doesn't age quite well, but I think the stories that you and Danny have, and so many of the other competitors have, of just like being able to put themselves out there, take this leap of faith, and do something that is really, really, really hard to better your own life. I think that ages like fine wine, you know. And so like the more people look back at y'all's situation, they're going to say more inspiring things, because it's incredible that y'all were able to do the stuff that y'all were able to do. Now, Danny, I have to ask you, first weigh-ins coming up. You lose double digits. Tell me about that experience, because I'm looking at that scale at home watching TV. I'm not getting on it. But you got on there, and you lost 20-something pounds in the first week?
Yeah, 24 pounds. And I did, our company has a fun fact Friday thing, and last week was my week to do it. So I put it out, 600 employees, facts about The Biggest Loser. And one of them was a week's really not a week. In other words, you know, they film, you know, the first week, our first week was 11 days. And then our second week was like 8 days instead of 7. And then our third week was like 5 days. That's why the third week we lost very little weight. So yeah, some of the 24 pounds happens because of the long week. Some of it happens because of detox, and you get rid of a lot of water in your body when you start eating clean. And there's several reasons, but yeah, to look at that, man, I started crying because I hadn't losing 24 pounds before took me 2 months or 3 months or more, you know, at home. And I just did it in 11, I'm thinking in 1 week, 11 days. And then even more when I got that motivation from being conspired against, I lost 7 weeks in a row, double digits. Every single week I was 10 or more and averaged like 13 pounds. And I look back at that and I'm like, I'm thinking, how did I do that? I don't know how I did it. My wife said it was the most amazing thing she ever saw when I came home, and every day just did the same thing every single day. Got up and hit the pavement at 6 a.m. and didn't quit until 10 p.m. You know, I mean, I just was moving. But it was scary as heck to take your shirt off. I wouldn't even get in a pool with my shirt off before the show, you know, and now I'm like, even though I'm overweight again, I'm like, you know, I don't care. And it was like one of those things that when I saw him do it, I was like, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, but, it's like being in all your glory in a tube top and spandex. I remember.
Oh my gosh!
I never forget it. I'm like, I never show my legs. I have lipedema. I got these fat accumulated legs, and
it's scary.
It's very scary. It really is. It's super scary.
I'd go speak at the grade schools, and on one of the weeks we had our former self in a big cutout board that we tackled, and I got to take that home. I cut it in half and mailed it home, and I made it a big stand-up thing for when I'd speak. But there I am with everything hanging out, you know. And I'd go to grade schools and talk to kids about health, and I'd be standing there and they'd go, "Oh man, look at that! Oh my gosh!" You know. But you know, shock value really opens up people's ears too. So
yeah, it does.
Tracey, tell me about your level of stress going into these weigh-ins. Like you said, you normally don't show that much skin. You're not losing the same amount of weight as Danny is. He's losing like double digits every week. So you're having a bit of a different experience. Yeah,
totally. I just knew that I was eating more calories than everybody else because I had someone manage me on a daily basis, and I had to. And so I always worried, am I going to lose enough weight to actually stay here? So that was always my worry going into a weigh-in. And I mean, you saw in one of the weigh-ins, like nobody claps for me.
Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, when I tell you, you could hear a pin drop, like nobody clapped. And it taught me a lesson, taught me a really valuable lesson. And it's one that I talk about in the documentary, and I've carried it for the last 16 years, that I don't need anybody to cheer for me, and you don't need anybody to cheer for yourself. You just have to cheer for yourself. Like I truly mean that. And I learned a valuable lesson that day, that you can be alone in a room, but you've got to cheer for yourself. And that's what I just did, is I just stayed positive. And it's like, even my experience on the show, everyone's like, oh, it was negative. I'm like, no, it was rehab for me. And I just, every single day, I just kept taking a step forward. My biggest mistake that I made on the show was I should have never put Danny on a different team. I should have kept him on my team. We would have stayed. That was seriously, if you ask me, what's your biggest mistake on The Biggest Loser? Splitting Danny up. Should have kept him on my team. I mean, him and Liz. Liz was my roommate. I wasn't going to leave her. And Coach Mo was my partner. I love him dearly. I wasn't going to leave him. I thought about him first with everything. So it's like, I should have just kept those three with us. But, you know,
the team would have went undefeated.
We would have been undefeated, double digits, because Danny is a competitor. He is a player. He is. And that, you know, something that you love about him. He's got a heart for it, and a heart for health as well, because that's really what we wanted to do. Was we wanted to change our life for the better, and we wanted to be better for ourselves.
Yeah, I like hearing you talk about the ups and downs of the show, the positives, but also the negatives that come with this show, because there are definitely moments where, looking back, you think about Danny losing 8 pounds and in a week, and we're like, oh my God, that's so disappointing. Like, what are you talking about? Like, We should all be standing up and fist pumping for Danny. And Danny looks so sad and dejected. The music's going like, oh, I guess I'll do better next week. Danny, 8 pounds is crazy.
I know it's true. It's true. But you're on The Biggest Loser. It's like 8 pounds can put you below the yellow line. So
you know what's funny is even in that weigh-in, and I didn't know you previous to then. Obviously, just met you in moving, and then I had to do the teams. And I remember like seeing that number and I'm evaluating in my head. I'm going back through and thinking of the weigh-ins that I was a part of and how much everybody lost. And I'm putting them in order. I'm writing this stuff down so I can figure out who's going to be on my team. I know, right?
Crazy.
Yeah,
so,
I was doing the same thing. I had a little chart that I would write down who lost, and I was writing down their percentages and keeping it. And I was like, okay, this week I probably need to lose. If I lose 12, I'm in. I'm you know, and I had a plan.
It's what you think about every day. With every swim stroke I did, I'm like, will I pull off enough weight to stay here? Can I do this?
Yeah. What was your experience watching the docuseries? You know, you lived it, but now you get to see other people's lived experiences kind of highlighted. Now, Danny, you and Tracey are close, but like when it comes to people that probably were on the show before you, maybe like Joelle from season 7, what did you think watching it? Do you remember her before the show? And what do you think about like her experience as depicted on Netflix?
I watched season 7 and what, you know, I remember when I got the chance to watch it and I was like, called my wife and said, cancel all plans. We're watching it tonight, you know, and so excited. And I was scared because I didn't know what it was going to be like, because you never know. I mean, I've seen, you know, the Duggars show and the other stuff. And I'm like, oh man, are they going to spill beans on somebody? What's going on? But I knew a little bit of Joelle's story, but I'll tell you what, I also knew when she talked about getting the pills or whatever, and it came out years afterwards. I was like, well, she's not lying because they offered something to me too. The casting people,
Stackers,
and yeah, Stackers, and she and man, the New York Post like twisted her words and made her look so bad, and it's just like we know the feeling. I mean, or you know, we've seen them do that. We've seen the press or the public do that over and over again, and so yeah, you know, I think that everybody had their own experience. Everybody had their own perception when they were there. I don't know what it was like on 7, but I can only imagine what she went through. I don't know what it was like on 2, but I can only imagine what Ms. Bendonca went through. I you know, everybody was different. And I know Hannah and Olivia had an amazing journey and they're still kicking it. And I'm proud of them. It's awesome. But yeah, to see their stories, I learned a lot. And that's why I was like, man, this needs to be like 6 seasons of 3 episodes and put another 7 people on and let them tell their story about their, or have each season come on, you know. It would be really interesting because there's a lot of backstory you just don't get.
Yeah, Tracey. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to ask. So watching it, you seen like maybe Susie's story from season 2. Did some of their stories resonate with your experience? And did you feel like, okay, now I'm watching it, I'm surprised by some of the stuff I'm hearing, but also like you could relate to some of it?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by, I mean, remember, these are our alumni castmates. We're all in our own communication with everybody. We can see things that they post. You know, we have a private alumni page for communication. And I also look at it through like open eyes, like big fat glasses on, because I lived it. And I was on the show and I had no idea that I was going to be painted the villain when I got home. No clue. So, you know, until, you know, the producers called me and were like, hey, how you doing, Tracey? They knew what was going to happen. They knew that it was going to be painted this way. And if you go back and look, I didn't do anything wrong on the show. I wasn't like, I didn't hurt anybody. I was just playing a game to stay there. I wasn't mean to anybody. I didn't talk about anybody mean. I didn't disparage anything. I was just playing the game to stay. And I was really sick when I was there. So when I see other people's stories and things that they lived, I believe them. I wholeheartedly believe them because that was their experience. This is how they felt. This is what happened to them. And those stories should be honored for them telling their own truth, because every single person that if you interview every single Biggest Loser, they will all have a different experience. They will all have their own story. And that's what's so great about reality TV. This is your story. This is you.
Mm-hmm.
This is who you are. And you were on a national TV show, and those stories should be honored. So Joelle, I believe her with what she said. I believe Ryan Benson that he has PTSD. So those things, I believe them. And I know these people. These are my fellow alumni, and I respect them for that.
Yeah. Tracy, Danny brought up in the documentary the idea of aftercare for the alumni of The Biggest Loser, but we didn't get to really hear you speak on it. Do you feel like the show does a disservice by not having services available to you all for not just like mental health services, obviously, but, you know, physical services as well, diet plans and personal trainers? What services do you think you could have used after coming off the show?
I mean, of course, that would have been great. I mean, that would have been nice, but never was it ever communicated or talked about that we were going to have something like that afterwards. Did we possibly think that was something that could come down the pike? Yes. Even Danny reached out to all of us on our season and said, hey, I'm reaching out to the show to see if we can get some aftercare. I think that would be great. You know, we're in a group text together. We were all struggling. All the contestants struggled going home. You're on a national TV show on a Tuesday night for 2 hours, and you lost a ton of weight, and you celebrated in front of millions of people. And then you're going home back to your life, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I was really just on a TV show and people are recognizing me. And, you know, the news show wants to do, you know, at a billboard in Texas on a major highway with my picture on it. I would go places and people would recognize me, but I felt like I was just swallowed at home. And how am I going to figure this out? And I did figure it out. And I'm not saying it's all perfect either, but the aftercare really is your relationships that you have with these people, because that's really who you have to have a voice with. Because no one at home really kind of understands what you just went through other than your castmates. So I did that. And even Danny reached out to me immediately. He's like, Tracy, I am going to send you to this discovery training. And it's like a weekend. It's going to change your life. And I fought him tooth and nail. He can tell you. I'm like, I'm not doing that, Danny. I'm not going. I'm not putting myself out there. I'm not doing it. He calls me and says, Darcy's going to watch your kids if you don't show up. Like, we're going to come to your house and pick you up. You better be there. And I showed up. I mean, so Danny was that person that was really facilitating that kind of aftercare with all of us to make sure that we stayed connected. I'm super thankful for that, because that was a life-changing weekend for me. And it continued on for years, and relationships and people that I met. And it was therapy.
Yeah. It was such a good point you brought up, Danny.
Yeah, you know, I was watching. They didn't have it when we got off, and I was really successful. I had fought the good fight for 4 or 5 years, so I was the Hannah and Olivia. They've been fighting the good fight. They've been. It's just as hard for them as it is for everybody else, but they're succeeding. You know, they're doing good. I was that person, and going, why is everybody gaining the weight back? Why? And I said, and then I got some help. I went, you know, I went and got some therapy and went to an addiction recovery center and did some things. And I said, man, this needs to happen for everyone. And I started looking up Biggest Loser and how much money they made, and from cookbooks to protein powder to even Nalgene bottles, you know, I mean, they made all kinds of money. And I said, they've got to put something aside for people and just give them a boost. They don't need to take care of us and be our parents. They just need to give us a boost. So I called one of the executive producers that were on my season, and it wasn't JD or Bloom. It was another one. And I talked to him about it, and he was like, you know, yeah, the network's not going to go for that. And, you know, I mean, at some point you got to live your own life, Danny. You know, you're an adult. You know, you guys are adults. And I'm like, that's not the point. Yeah. We have an opportunity to help people and make them more successful. Maybe they won't be perfect, but they'll be more, and it'll be a tribute to The Biggest Loser to do that. Didn't happen. I sure wish it would have. I sure would. And I tell everybody, whatever help you need, go get it. I mean, it's you're worth it.
Yeah.
When I realized that obesity is healthcare is when I really changed my mindset. Mm-hmm. And I did go through, I was in therapy for 10 years for binge eating, 10 years of my life after the show. And when I catch myself, I have to like go back to those tools that I learned. But I started out in therapy, and then I sought out an obesity doctor that I see regularly, that I still see today, and nutrition. So I ended up going for my own care in that aspect. But a lot of people didn't have those tools and didn't know that that's what we should have done and could have been moving forward with the show. I'm thankful that I had the tools and was able to do that, and it's helped me tremendously.
And it's not 100%. I mean, I've had, of course, had a relapse, so it is what it is. But I can do it again. So
Yeah.
It's like this over the years. It really has been. Like my weight's gone up, it's gone back down. It's gone back up again, it's gone back down. It's like, oh, I think I got this. Oh, wait, let me do something else. So it's not easy. It's hard. It's really hard.
Do you think that a show like The Biggest Loser could work again? Like, like given that what we know now with the aftercare and what we know about caloric deficits and workouts, and like now that we've seen kind of like the dark underbelly of the show, Tracey, could we ever revamp this in a way that's more ethical and more safe for contestants?
I'm going to go back to what Dr. Huizinga said in the documentary. You cannot have a show based on weight loss that's that stringent the way that it was, that's going to be safe for everybody. And you're not the only person asking the same question. And I'm sure in the producers' minds, they're like, ooh, how can we make this happen again? How can we do this? Yeah, you should bring Danny and I to be a host so we can like make sure everybody's going to stay safe. It's kind of a big deal. But it's, I don't know if you could actually do that again. And our focus on health and our focus on weight, yes, they're together, but they have to be medically involved constantly.
Yeah.
It just has to be. You can't have trainers fighting with a medical doctor about it. Like, that's so silly. It's happening right now in the news. It's like, really? Are we really going to fight Dr. Huizinga? Come on.
Yeah. It's crazy.
What many people don't know is I attended Shades of Hope, which is a lady named Tenny McCarty, and she had a show on Oprah's network called Addicted to Food. One season, didn't get renewed. And I flew to Lubbock, Texas, sat in the airport for 3 hours and wrote an idea for another show that would have worked. And Tenny and I went to LA and pitched it to Mark Coops, and they were very interested, and I wish they would have done it, but it could work. It just has to be done differently with recovery and with healthcare, like Tracey's talking about, and the right tools to do it. And exercise is a part, and diet is a huge part, but it's got to be more than that.
Yeah. And on that note, Danny, what's next for you? I know you said you're starting to put yourself first. You working on anything? You got any like social media you want people to follow? Are you a micro influencer? Because I feel like I told you the camera loves you.
I'm going to tell you. Well, thank you very much. That's honoring. But I tell you, I'm getting a lot of messages. My mother just told me this morning, I always call my mom when I get in the car. I live 100 miles away from her. So every time I get in, I call her. And I called her on the way to work this morning and said, good morning, Mother. And she said, Danny, have you read all this stuff? And I said, I'm reading as much as I can, but there's a lot of it. She said, you have so many people wanting to do a group with you, wanting you to put out videos, wanting you to there are people in Broken Arrow in my town where I live saying, come to my gym for free, man. You just need to get over here and do what you need to do. So many people have been, the amount of positivity with this thing to negativity has been a huge gap. It's 1,000 to 1. So yeah, I'm definitely, the group thing, the videos, that kind of thing, I'm mulling it around in my head. And as soon as I can get through this whirlwind, something's going to happen. And Tracey and I have actually talked about doing a podcast, and that's probably going to end up happening.
That would be great. I know people would tune in for that. Yeah, I know people. Yeah, that's a good idea. Tracey, where can we find you on social media? What do you have going on? You still doing marathons?
I have not done a marathon since 2015. I did run Boston then. I haven't done one since then. I did tear my hamstring 3 years ago. So I've had surgery, mowed around with that. I work out every day. I have a great trainer that I see at Bayshore here in Massachusetts. I live in Braintree, Massachusetts, about 11 miles out of the city, out of Boston. You can find me on social. So my TV name is Tracey Yukich, but I'm remarried now, and my married name is Tracey Lane. So you can find me there. I just talked to a guy that used to do my website, and so he's going to throw my website back up there. I'm hoping to pull a following from that. And I really would love to go back into the speaking circuit. I did that. Danny did that. After our stint on the season 8 of The Biggest Loser in 2009. And Danny loved it. I loved it. I had no clue that I was going to have that opportunity and that it was just going to come the way that it did. And I remember showing up somewhere and they're like, we'd like to pay you. I'm like, really? You want to pay me to speak? Really? And I feel like my message is changed and so much better. And I really look forward to getting back into that. And I hope to inspire some people. I hope to inspire other women that have possibly gone through what I've gone through. And I hope to meet them in person and like look at them in the face and let them know that, you know, I'm cheering for you. And like, I'm excited. I really am. I like my DMs are full. Keep them coming. I'm reading them. I love it. Thank you.
No, thank y'all. Thank you both for sharing your stories, for being inspirations to others, and then coming and of course to me about everything, because as you can tell, I'm a big old reality TV nerd, so I was ready to talk to y'all, and this did not disappoint. I know our listeners are going to be tuned in. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
All right, and thank you all for listening to this amazing interview with Danny and Tracey from Fit for TV, the reality of The Biggest Loser. Check out my review of the documentary on the Nothing But Netflix podcast on nothingbutpod.com. Keep up with other reality TV coverage here by subscribing to WeKnowRealityTV.com. Peace.
Thank you.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.